Then I went to Peru from Chile. I flew down to Lima, and this is up in the Andes. We're crossing a pass near Huancayo, 17,000 feet up in this gravel road. And those are alpaca. And by the way, we visited one, alpaca is the second most valuable fiber in the world. And when I was visiting Nina Caca, the one village where they want me to come and do the photovoltaics, I gave a seminar and everything, and at the end of it, the one person said, we have to give you something. And he said, we have no money, but we have lots of vicuñas. So they gave me this beautiful vicuña sweater. Vicuña is the most valuable fiber in the world. I don't know if any of you had ever heard of it before. Most people have never heard of it because there's only a handful of stores in the world, like in the Park Avenue, New York, the Champs-Élysées in Paris. Very, very exclusive stores are the only place you can buy such sweaters. I have no idea what it's worth, but it's very nice and comfortable. I love it. So anyway, I went there to work, and this is a solar thermal project. This is, the first time I went was in June, which is, you know, the dead of winter. And it's cold up there in the winter, particularly at night. The sun, by the way, we're only 13,400 feet here. When you're at 17,000 feet in the winter, because the atmosphere shrinks a little, you're above half the Earth's atmosphere. To give you an idea, if you take a globe of the Earth and you varnish it, the layer of varnish you put on that globe is thicker than the atmosphere on our small rocky planet. Our planet actually has a very thin, very fragile atmosphere compared to, say, Venus, which has got a nice thick one, or Jupiter, where it's many thousands of miles thick. You know, it's you go 3 miles up and you're halfway up in terms of pressure. So it's easy to damage, and we've done it. By the way, there's absolutely no doubt in scientists' mind that global warming is very real, and it's caused by us burning fossil fuels. There's no competent science that doubts this in the slightest anymore. There are people who still are pretending that there is an argument about this. You see, we have an addiction to fossil fuels. It's just like an alcoholic says, oh, I'm not an alcoholic, I just happen to like beer for breakfast. Yeah. We're not wanting to admit it to ourselves, but it's very real and very serious. Anyway, I have to find out which way is true north, because in south of the equator, you put your things on the north side of the building to catch the sun. So if I didn't have a GPS, and I didn't have a compass. If I did, I didn't know what the magnetic deviation was. So I had this woman put a stone down, a rock down every 15 minutes and created a curved pattern. And then you take a string and you measure the distance from the pole to the rocks, and the shortest distance is the string is pointing due south there, and the northern half is pointing due north. You can also determine local sun noon, because that moment when it's the shortest shadow is noon. And if I have this watch, which is actually quite accurate, and I had it set for Lima time. If you know Lima time, you can then also, by doing some geometry, you can calculate exactly your latitude and longitude and what time it is, sun time, and which way is north and so forth. So you can do everything a GPS does with rocks, a string, and a pole. That's all you need. And so that's what we're doing. And then we're using that. And while we were there, we had brought a commercial sun oven, which isn't the most efficient oven, but at that altitude, they work extremely well. This is so high, you're above the tree line. So they use llama dung and cattle dung as fuel to do all their cooking. And it takes 2 hours to boil potatoes because, I mean, I was drinking boiling coffee and it wasn't quite hot enough because of the low pressure. And of course, the fuel gives the food an interesting barbecue flavor. But it takes an hour and a half in a solar cooker to do the same, and to do the same number of potatoes, same potatoes. So they loved it. They had a trout stream right next to there, and we had people from 5 villages come to do the workshop. 5 carpenters and a batch of women and other people, and the village had to feed everybody, so they simply fed us all trout because it was right there. And cooked in the solar cooker, it takes 20 minutes to cook trout in the solar cooker, and everybody said it was the best trout they ever ate. The fact that it was 5 minutes out of the stream probably helped. We're building the thing using very, very hard wood. You have to drill holes to put the nails in, and if you bend a nail, you just take a hacksaw and cut it off because you'll never pull it out. We're putting the glass in, and the idea is, here it's finished. The sun comes in through that. Now the walls, we ran out of money, so we're using plastic tablecloth material for the walls because we just use glass for the roof. The sun shines through the walls, heats up the air, and also heats up the adobe wall that's behind it. Adobe has an interesting property. It's heavy but porous. So heat moves through it slowly, much slower than concrete blocks or a concrete wall. It takes about 12 hours for the heat to percolate through to the back wall, the inside of the adobe. That means that the bedroom, which is upstairs there now, they moved up there, has the wall is the warmest at 4 in the morning. So it's a way of storing heat and delivering it when you really want it. Also, they dry maize in there, they're drying corn, and they in that village, they take and they bathe the kids in the trout stream. If you think you've had cold water, they hate that. So what they do now in this house is they put a wash tub right there in the corner next to the door, fill it full of water from the trout stream in the morning, and by late afternoon, the water is warm and the space is warm, and the kids love it because it's the first time they ever had a warm bath in their life. This is looking down from upstairs in the thing, and you can see everything. Then after the workshop was over, they invited me to the Inca winter solstice ceremony, which is the Inca New Year, June 21st. They actually do it on the proper day. Our New Year's, our Christmas, and our winter solstice are all the same celebration by somebody who can't do calendars very well. You know, New Year's is 11 days off now. And they had it right on the money. So they invited me. By the way, you see that we're going to the glacier lake where that glacier used to go into the water. In 10 years, it's gone all the way up that hill. It's global warming is very real. That's not a retouched photograph. Somebody accused Al Gore of retouching the photograph that he showed in his movie, and I can assure you that's not retouched. I wouldn't know how to do that.